Okay, so what's up guys? In today's video I'm gonna show you how to make a guitar melodies for GUNNA, and then I'll make a beat out of it, so let's get right into it. Quick disclaimer, this loop that I'm going to break down to you in today's video is going to be available in my new loop kit dropping next Sunday, and it's going to be full of these guitar melodies, electric guitar melodies, as well as some Spanish guitar melodies and that kind of stuff. So first I'll play you the final sample and then I'm going to break it down to you. I started off with this electric guitar. It's the Telecaster by Ilya Efimov, and I think it's the best electric guitar for Contact. And this is the melody that I laid down. It may seem a bit complex, but it's really not. The first thing that I always do when I make loops is that I take any scale that I want to work in. I drag this MIDI to this pattern, and as you can see now it's way easier to work within this scale. I started off with these bass notes, and from there I copy them and I pitch them up an octave, and from there I built up these chords. As you can see, it's just regular C# minor chord. The second one is a major chord. It's A major chord, as you can see. The difference between minor chord and the major chord. When you look here, this is the minor chord, and you can tell that it's minor chord by this gap right here. This gap contains 2 notes, so it's the minor chord. But if you look here at this second chord, this gap contains 3 notes, and that means that it's major chord. Then I added this B major chord. Then I copied the first 2 chords, but I switched it up at the end. I went from A major chord to E major chord. And I also added these notes that are not in the chord. These are for the better transitions between the chords. When I had this melody done, I played around a little bit with the velocities so it would sound a bit more realistic. But I wasn't happy with the sound of this melody. It was too high, so I pitched it down 3 semitones by holding down Shift and clicking the down arrow 3 times. Now the melody sounds like this. For the effects, I added Guitar Rig to add a character to this guitar. I use this preset called Ambient Chickapone, but the default settings were distorting my guitar way too much, so I played around with the tone here and here. I turned it down a little bit and I turned off this reflector. Then I used this compressor called Comp Diode 609 by Arturia with a preset called Bring Up the Side, because the guitar had some very loud notes and some very quiet notes, and what the compressor does is that it takes the loudest parts of the melody and it turns them down a little bit, and it takes the quietest parts of the melody and it boosts it a little bit. Then I added this reverb called Intensity by Arturia again, and I used this preset called Gated Verb, and then on top of everything I added this equalizer to clean it up. I cut out all the low frequencies, I cut out all the high frequencies, and I decreased some of these frequencies. What I usually do is that I play the sound and I look at the frequency range and I reduce the frequencies that are peaking high. As you can see, this is peaking high, this is peaking high, this is peaking high as well. If it would peak right here, I would reduce the frequencies even more. And this is what the melody sounds like with all the effects on. The second element that I added to this melody is this bass called Scarby with a preset called Night Session, and I layered on this bass line. As you can see, it only follows the root notes of the chords of the main melody, but I also added these short notes to add some kind of rhythm so it wouldn't be that boring. This is the bass without the effects. For the effects, I added this reverb, so the sound of the bass would be a little bit softer, but I turned up this low cut knob, so no frequencies have the reverb on them, and I turned down this size knob a little bit and also the width. On top of that, I added this sample equalizer to cut out all the low frequencies below 30 Hz and to cut out all the high frequencies. This is the bass with all the effects on. The next sound that I added to this melody is another guitar. This time is the nylon guitar, again by Ilya Efimov. And I layered down this very simple melody, which only follows the chords again. When I had this melody done, I played around with the velocities again, and again, it's only to make it sound a little bit more realistic. This is the melody without the effects. For the effects, I added this Valhalla vintage verb for a little bit of ambience. I switched this color to 1980s. I played around with the knobs. I turned up the low cut knob. I turned down the decay knob, mix knob, and pre-delay knob. Then I added this tape Mellow-Fi by Arturia to make it sound a little bit more vintage. I played around with the mechanics knob, wear knob, flutter knob, and also with the drive knob. Then I added this equalizer to cut out all the low frequencies and all the high frequencies. And on top of everything, I added this pancake too, so the guitar would pan from left to right. I only changed this to 1 bar and this mixed to 65%. This is the second guitar with all the effects on. Then I added Expand 2 with a preset called Constant Move, which can be found in the action pad. It's this 15th one, and I only copied the main melody. This is what it sounds like with no effects on. For effects, I added this Valhalla plate to put it more to the background, so it would be only as some kind of texture. The only change that I did to this default preset is that I turned up this low frequency knob. On top of that, I added this equalizer to cut out all the low frequencies, all the high frequencies, and to reduce frequencies around 1000 Hz and around 4200 Hz. And on top of everything, I added this pancake again, so the sound would be panned from left to right when it's playing. This is the sound with all the effects on. Then I added this accent called Bubblegum, and it only plays in the middle of every 2 bars, and this is what it sounds like with no effects on. For the effects, I only used this equalizer to cut out all the low frequencies and all the high frequencies, and pancake again, but this time I switched the sides of this wave, so it would go to the right first and then to the left. This is the accent with all the effects on. And the last sound that I added to this melody is this flute run called Gate of Heaven, but I set the mode to stretch, so it doesn't change its length when it's pitched up or down. As you can see, I only pitched it up an octave in the second 4 bars. This is the flute run without the effects. For the effects, I added this Valhalla vintage verb for ambience because the sound was too dry, and I played around with the low cut knob, decay knob, mix knob, and pre-delay knob. Then I added this tape Mellow-Fi by Arturia to make it sound more vintage, and on top of everything I added this equalizer to cut out low frequencies, high frequencies, and to clean it up a little bit. This is the flute run with all the effects on. When I had all the melodies done, I selected them all by holding down Control and dragging all over the mixer tracks that you want to select, and then I routed them all to an empty mixer track by right-clicking this arrow down and clicking route to this track only. What it does is it doesn't send the audio signals directly to the master track, but instead it sends the audio signal to the track that you routed it to, and from the track that you routed it to, it sends the audio signal to the master. This is good if you want to add some effects chain to more sound simultaneously. And for the effects here, I added this fresh air with a mix bass Polish preset. I turned down this high air and mid air. And then I added this equalizer to cut out all the low frequencies below 30 Hz and to cut out all high frequencies and to clean it up again. I did exactly the same process that I did when I was cleaning up the main melody. So I turned down the frequencies that were peaking too high. Then I added tape Mellow-Fi to make it sound more vintage. I played around with the wear, mechanics, and filter. Then I added this virtual tape machines. I have no idea what it does, but it makes it sound better. Next, I added this Abbey Road vinyl with the preset print ARMC, but I turned down the clicks, crackle and the noise. And on top of everything, I added this virtual mix rack with a mix bus fed to glue it all together. And this is what the final melody sounds like. Now I'm going to export this melody and make a beat out of it. Now, when the beat is done, I have to mix it and arrange it, and that's it for today's video. So, if you like this video, let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on IG at LilMay with 6 Y's at the end. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.